today's video has a twist because when this guitar came out, the manufacturer asked me if I wanted to do a video and I said no. Well, as twists sometimes go, it was the most requested guitar I do a video of by you guys. So today we're gonna do the least expensive PRS guitar you can buy currently right now, which is the Paul Reed Smith SE CE Standard 24 Satin Finish with deluxe gig bag. Okay, so let's get into the geeky stuff. There's a bunch of specifications on this guitar that is very cool. So let's start with one of the coolest things about a $499 guitar, that it comes with a very nice gig bag. So this is a Paul Reed Smith SE Deluxe gig bag. This comes with pretty much every SE they make. If you can see here, it's pretty thick. Do that, pretty thick. A little bit of flex, but pretty nice. It has neoprene shoulders. It has a handy dandy hook to hang this in your closet, so when you're not using it. The pouch can fit a laptop, an iPad, or a book. It has room for pencils and pens, a small compartment that you can put your guitar picks in. So nice gig bag, that comes included with the guitar. So that's worth mentioning. Something else to take me back is 10 years ago, you could buy a made in Mexico Fender Strat or Tele for $499 with a deluxe gig bag. So to see a guitar still at $499 with a deluxe gig bag is pretty impressive. So we have a mahogany body with a satin finish. There's no grain filler on this, so you feel the grain. It feels kind of rough. It has a two-piece maple neck. So what you have here is a 2-inch by 1-inch thick piece of maple, and it is flat sawn. And here's the scarf joint. It's hard to see, but it's right there. So that's where the other piece of wood is coming in. And the reason they do that is because if they had to make this neck out of one piece, they would have to do a 2-inch by 4-inch block of wood to get that angle. Maybe a 3-inch block, so 2 by 3. But either way, they can get twice as many necks out of doing it this way, which is why they do it. You have 6 labeled Paul Reed Smith non-locking tuners, and of course it says built by Cortec in Indonesia for Paul Reed Smith guitars. Rosewood fretboard with your bird inlays, and of course it's a 24 fret guitar. You can tell it's a 24 because there's an owl on the 24th fret. So if you had a 22 fret PRS with birds, you wouldn't get the owl. You have a graphite nut. You have 2 8515S humbucker pickups, which is their import version of their 8515s. You have the import version of the bridge, volume and tone with a push-pull coil split, 3-way switch. I mentioned that the bridge is the import version of the PRS bridge, but it still is the same design bridge. It just uses different materials. The important part is understanding this bridge. A lot of people see a 6-screw bridge and they think that it's a vintage style tremolo. It's actually a marriage of old and new. Paul Reed Smith, when he decided to use the 6-screw bridge system for the Custom 24, wanted to do something a little bit different. He knew that guitars like Fender use 6 screws, and other companies, including now Fender again, use a 2-point post system. The theory being that if the 2 posts let the bridge stay on a knife edge, they will stay in tune better. So Paul decided to marry an old technology with a new technology. By developing a screw that has those divots cut into them, like right here, the bridge knife edge rests on all 6 screws. And you have to make sure that all the screws are level because again, they're all sitting on that knife edge point. Let's get into how it came. So they shipped it set up. So let's take a look at that. Okay, looking at the 12th fret, we are sitting in at about 1.75 millimeters. And 1.75. So yeah, 1.75. So usually guitars come in at about 2 millimeters. This one's sitting in about 1.75. So very nice. Next thing important to do is look at how the neck is. And the neck has slightly, just a little bit of relief. You can see right here, just a little play in that string. So a little bit of relief. That's not a bad thing or good thing. A perfect guitar would have a straight neck with no relief in a perfect situation, in a perfect world. But a little bit of relief, as long as it feels good and plays good, is not an issue at all. Let's go ahead and check the nut. And to do that, we're just gonna press down on the 3rd fret right here and just see how much play is in the 1st fret. And there's none. And going across. I mean, that's beautiful. Playing the barred F chord feels really good. That's a really nice, the nut feels cut really well. Let's go ahead and see if there's any issues with any dead notes. Dead notes is when you play a note, it either doesn't make the note because it's fretting out, or it sizzles a lot. We call it buzzing. and sounds like a can of bees, and it's just not sounding very good. So let's go ahead and play all the notes. I'll let you know if there's any that are out. Okay, that's pretty good. No dead notes that I saw at all, and everything sounded really good. Feels pretty good. Let's go ahead, and now I want to do a friction test. You can do that by just bending a note. And what we're feeling for is how gritty the frets feel. And sometimes you can hear them if they're really bad. Well, I won't play a note. No, they feel good. I really recommend doing this a lot when you get a guitar, because sometimes when those frets are really gritty, you have to understand that friction makes it harder for you to bend. I once had a customer whose issue, he thought he needed to go down a gauge of strings. So before we did that, I loosened his strings, kind of pulled them to the sides, polished all his frets real fast, and gave him back the guitar. And he played, and he said, "Oh, that's fantastic." And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't need lighter strings. You just need a little less friction when bending a note. Sometimes make sure your frets are polished. These are polished very well." Let's go ahead and test them. We test them with a nylon sock. It's the best way to illustrate what I feel by showing you what you can actually see. Something to point out, as always, as guitars are kept here for weeks, it's the Arizona climate. We're expecting some kind of change in the neck as I play the guitar and test the guitar. Let's go ahead and do the treble side. I can hear a little bit of scratching, and there's a little bit of scratching right there. That's definitely, I'll say that's a 4.5 out of 5. Pretty good. That means you wouldn't really feel anything with your bare hand, but of course you can see it right here. Let's go ahead and do the bass side. And as we see a lot on the channel, the bass side is better than the treble side, which is weird. You'd think they'd focus more on this side and less on this side. But anyways, that's a 5 out of 5, no issues. We also like to test the bridge. We can do that same thing, just to see if any of the screws are sticking out or the sharp edges, anything that if you're palm muting or playing, would it feel odd or weird? And nope, it feels pretty good. So that did really well. This is usually a bigger culprit with guitars. They just set the saddles really low to get the action right, and the screws are sticking out and they scratch you. Those look good. The nut looks good. Let's take some measurements. So starting with the nut, we are sitting in at 1.697 or 43.12 millimeters. The 12th fret coming in at 52.12 millimeters or 2.052. We'll go ahead and we'll do the thickness of the neck. Thickness of the first fret, we have the neck at 0.816 or 20.74 millimeters. And then the 12th fret thickness, the thickness of the neck at the 12th fret is 22.18 millimeters or 0.873. Let's go ahead and check these frets. And we have the frets at 0.107 or 2.72 millimeters wide. And we have the height of the frets at 1.17 millimeters or 0.046. So those are jumbo frets, and they are nickel silver. PRS doesn't do stainless steel frets. So a couple things to talk about. So the finish feels rough, but it's not aggressive. There's no, like I said, grain filler in this, and there's no heavy clear coat on this. It's just a really satin finish. This is not nitro. This is a polyurethane. This will gloss in spots. If as you play it, it's just how it's gonna be. If you like relic guitars, this is gonna relic really nice. Let's go ahead and talk about the edge of the fretboard. The fretboard is not harsh. It's not rounded, but it's not really harsh and sharp on the sides. It could be rounded a little bit more to be more of a vintage feel, but this one feels really good. I know some of the first ones I ever did videos of, the SEs, I mentioned how harsh the sides were, and Jack Higginbotham, the COO of PRS, who runs SE, reached out and said, "Thank you for that input. We are addressing it. We're gonna make sure the fretboard is a little rounded." It's nice. It feels really good. Okay, so truss rod, we have a dual action truss rod right here. They give you tools. So what comes in your little baggie is you're gonna get the tremolo arm, and you're gonna get the stovepipe wrench, that I like to call it, and of course an Allen wrench for your bridge. This is to make adjustments to the truss rod. The tremolo arm is a push-in tremolo arm, and this is something I just wanted to show you guys. So you push in right like so, but something to be made aware of. Not only is this Allen wrench for these saddles, it's for this this screw right here in the back, which was left mostly sticking out. So you're going to lose it if we don't, because it's not going to. And so what this does right here is this allows you to tighten. And so the tremolo arm can be loose, or if we keep tightening it a little bit, it'll be firm and stay in whatever place you want it to, just by using a little compression on the plastic ring that's in there. Let's look at the electronics. So a couple things to mention right here, that the back plates are top mounted. Some of you guys don't like that. You like them to be flush mounted. We have electronics. A couple things to point out. We have a shielded cavity with a shielded back plate. So that's nice, very insulated, very cool. We have a 500K alpha potentiometer for the volume control with a treble bleed. There's a treble bleed right there. We have a 500K push-pull tone control right here. And we have a capacitor right there. And then we also have a 3-way switch. Everything's wired up nice. Another thing we want to do is check the pickups to see. This is a set of pickups that we're very familiar with and how they meter, but we're going to check them anyways. We have the bridge coming in at 7.85K and the neck coming in at 7.40. The bridge inductance is at 4.76 and the neck inductance is at 4.18. These aren't hot by any means, at least we don't predict them to be so. Let's go ahead and check the radius on this, that it's a 10-inch radius. And look at that. It is a 10-inch radius. Let's go ahead and check to see how consistent they were with that. 10-inch radius up top. Yeah, it's pretty good. 10-inch radius. So 10-inch radius fretboard. So not as rounded as a Fender, but not as flat as a Gibson, which is something that Paul Reed Smith is known for. So on the neck carve, it's a wide thin, which is, in my experience, a very 80s era Fender Strat neck carve, which is a very C carve, and that's exactly what this is. So obviously, if you're familiar with PRS wide thin, you'll know what this is. However, if you haven't, just think that it's a very small Fender Strat neck, and I mean very small Strat neck. It's on the smaller side. Very cool. I know some of you guys are going to know, how much does this guitar weigh? 6.36 pounds. So that's a light guitar. That is light. I would imagine they're pretty consistently light. As I said earlier, this guitar sells for $499 and it comes in 6 colors and variations. So let's go over the colors. You have charcoal satin, ice blue metallic, satin metallic gold, satin metallic silver, turquoise satin, and vintage cherry satin. But more importantly, also versions that have a sandblasted finish, like this one right here for $595, and they come in a couple colors as well. As I always say, none of the specifications matter if it doesn't feel good and play good. Let's go ahead and see how it sounds and plays. Okay, so let's go through the sound samples. We're running a Line 6 Catalyst 112 60-watt combo amp. We have it mic'd up with an SM57. We have a room mic in here. And we're going to start with a neck pickup on a cleaner setting. And here we go. Got a little bit of bite to it. You kind of roll the volume off a little bit. Cleans up a lot better. I tried it through a couple different amps and it's still kind of always little bites a little bit hard. Coil split sounds great though. Here's a coil split. Same with that bridge. let's go ahead and switch to the middle position and we'll just see how the tremolo works. So we knocked it out of tune there. Let's see how far out of tune it is. A little bit on the B. G went a little sharp. D's good. A stayed. And the E went a little sharp. Let's try that again. I mean, it sounds good, and it's staying in tune. Let's go to the neck pickup. We're going to go to a little bit more aggressive setting on the amp. Let's go to that bridge. It's nice. Okay, let's go to the coil split. That's great. Let's go to the full. My coil split, roll the tone control back. That's impressive. Okay, so we're gonna do some final thoughts now, right? Well, of course, as always, I should listen to you guys because you tend to be right when it comes to things to recommend on the channel. It's a very impressive guitar. It's not gonna be the most amazing guitar ever, but I think it's a workhorse guitar, and I think that's the appeal of it. As you keep playing it, it's just gonna work in a little bit. Feels good. One of the negatives is this guitar feels so good that it makes you not, instead of just stopping and enjoying the fact that, you know, for the price point you get a good guitar, my brain just starts going, what if I put some better pickups in it? What if I put the locking keys on it? You just want to start modifying this. It just lends itself to a great mod platform. I wouldn't change any of the electronics. I wouldn't change the bridge. I wouldn't change anything other than maybe mess with the pickups and and some locking keys for faster restrings. But you know, and then do you wonder if that defeats the whole purpose, which is just to enjoy the fact that it's a great guitar for the price. I'm impressed. You guys are right. I'm going to end it on that. As always, thank you so much for your time. Till the next time, know your gear. If you'd like to see another video like this, you can click right here and learn more about guitars and deep dives. Or if you want to check out our podcast, you can click here.